Good evening. The June 18th, 2026 meeting of the Corvallis School Board is now called to order at 6:31 p.m. To support the health and safety of all community members, particularly those who are immunocompromised and their families. The board continues to offer a virtual participation option for board members and district staff. Public comment is available at select meetings, both in person and virtually. Details on how to provide public comment are available on the Corvallis School District website. Tonight's agenda, board packet, and a link to the district's YouTube channel are available on the school board's page of the website. All public meetings are live streamed on YouTube, and recordings are typically posted the following day. Tonight we have Sammy, Judah, Chris, Shauna, Bernie, and myself in person, and Therese is excused. In the first order of business is the acknowledgement of Pride Month.
Corvallis School District 509J, Acknowledgement of Pride Month, Resolution Number 22-0501. Whereas the Corvallis School District recognizes and pays tribute to the significant contributions made in our community by LGBTQI2S+ people, and whereas the Corvallis School District affirms that LGBTQI2S+ students, families, staff, and community members should be valued for all aspects of their identities, and
whereas Pride Month grew out of efforts of the LGBTQI2S+ liberation movement in the 1970s, and whereas the LGBTQI2S+ liberation movement is widely recognized as growing out of activist efforts at the Los Angeles Cooper Donuts, San Francisco Compton's Cafeteria, and New York Stonewall uprisings in response to violence against the LGBTQI2S+ people, and whereas 1 year after the Stonewall riots, organizers launched a gay pride march in 1970, which continued annually, and whereas LGBTQI2S+ people have been and continue to be targets by acts of hate, and
whereas LGBTQI2S+ people have historically been criminalized and institutionalized because of openly embracing their identities. And whereas LGBTQI2S+ people, and especially trans youth, continue to face targeted efforts that limit their ability to access healthcare, sports, and education that is identity affirming. And whereas the community-based efforts celebrating LGBTQI2S+ and Pride during the 1970s evolved to what is now known as Pride Month annually in order to celebrate LGBTQI2S+ identities. And whereas Pride Month was first proclaimed nationally in 1994, and
whereas Oregon has yet to proclaim Pride Month at the statewide level, and whereas LGBTQI2S+ people have contributed to the history and collective future of Corvallis and Benton County, Oregon, and whereas Pride Month provides an opportunity to continue the district's growth in learning about the many contributions of LGBTQI2S+ people to the nation, world, and local community, and whereas education is a necessary component for creating a more equitable and anti-racist community, nation, and world, and
whereas the Corvallis School District has made a commitment to equity and anti-racism, and whereas the Corvallis School District has a responsibility to honor and respect the diverse histories of our community, and whereas the Corvallis School District believes each and every student must be celebrated and appreciated for the distinct and vibrant contributions made by sharing cultures, language, ideas, beliefs, and values within a school community.
Therefore, let it be resolved by the Board of Education of the Corvallis School District does hereby proclaim June 2022 as well as each June annually as Pride Month in the district, and strongly encourage students, families, staff, and community members to join in existing local celebrations, and encourage all schools in the district to help highlight this month in grade appropriate ways, as well as highlight the contribution of all LGBTQI2S plus people to the local community, nation, and beyond, both historically and in current times. Adopted by the Board of Directors of the School District Number 509J, Corvallis of Benton and Lynn Counties, Oregon, at its regular meeting this 5th day of May 2022.
And next on the agenda is the acknowledgement of Caribbean American Heritage Month.
Corvallis School District 509J, Acknowledgement of Caribbean American Heritage Month, Resolution Number 24-0501. Whereas the Corvallis School District recognizes and pays tribute to the significant contributions made in our community by Caribbean Americans, which include members of the Indigenous, Black, and Latinx communities, and reflect people directly from and with ancestry from all nations and lands in and around the Caribbean Sea.
Whereas the Corvallis School District affirms that students, families, staff, and community members should be valued for all aspects of their identities, and whereas Caribbean American Heritage Month grew out of a campaign led by Dr. Claire A. Nelson in 2004 to have June recognized as National Caribbean American Heritage Month, and whereas Caribbean Americans are largely left out of academic discourse, and
whereas Caribbean Americans have been and continue to be impacted by lasting impacts of colonization, including violence, discrimination, and systemic barriers, and whereas June became recognized as Caribbean American Heritage Month nationally following presidential proclamation in 2006, and
whereas Oregon has yet to officially recognize Caribbean American Heritage Month, and whereas Caribbean Americans have contributed to the history and collective future of Corvallis and Benton County, Oregon, and
Whereas Caribbean American History Month provides an opportunity to continue the district's growth in learning about the many contributions of Caribbean Americans to the nation, world, and local community, and whereas education is a necessary component for creating a more equitable and anti-racist community, nation, and world, and whereas the Corvallis School District has made a commitment to equity and anti-racism, and whereas the Corvallis School District has a responsibility to honor and respect the diverse histories of our community, and
whereas the Corvallis School District believes each and every student must be celebrated and appreciated for the distinct and vibrant contributions made by sharing cultures, language, ideas, beliefs, and values within a school community. Therefore, let it be resolved by the Board of Education of the Corvallis School District does hereby proclaim June 2024 as well as each June annually as the Caribbean American Heritage Month in the district, and strongly encourage students, families, staff, and community members to join in existing local celebrations, and encourage all schools in the district to help highlight this month in grade appropriate ways, as well as highlights the contributions of all Caribbean American peoples to the local community, nation, and beyond, both historically and in current times. Adopted by the Board of Directors of School District Number 509J Corvallis of Benton and Lynn Counties, Oregon, at its regular meeting this 9th day of May 2024.
Thanks, everyone. And just a reminder that we reread those every time it's time to reaffirm the district's commitment to what's contained in the proclamations. And I did want to apologize to the communities represented by the resolutions that we're reading it so late into the month. I know it's June 18th, and we weren't able to read them earlier due to our scheduling. We haven't met since the beginning of May for business meetings, so I just want to remind everybody why we're reading them right now, and have been celebrating all month anyways. So, yeah. Okay. Next on the agenda is board member reports. I'm sure everybody has reports. I just wanted to ask folks to bear with us as we have not had a business meeting again since the beginning of May. So board members have been doing a lot of things, I'm sure. Is there anybody that has anything to report? Sammy, did you two were looking at each other, so I didn't know who somebody was didn't know who was going to raise their hand.
Well, thank you, Chair. When I graduated public high school, I did not get the opportunity to have a ceremony. We just went to the high school office and got my diploma. So I've been privileged and honored to spend every graduation season for the last 10 years to attend those graduations, and I couldn't be prouder of the Corvallis community, of the students first and foremost, and for the parents, families, and every educator who made it possible for them to graduate through our high schools. So the ceremonies has been really a great opportunity, and I did attend several of them, both high schools and College Hill, and also culturally specific and programs that we have seen. I know there's additions that we got to attend this year, and each one has really great opportunity for me to have a front seat, seeing how our students are proud of their accomplishments and how the community and the parents are proud of their accomplishments. I couldn't be more grateful for seeing that, and I know as we engage in difficult decisions throughout the year or the years, seeing that finish line was very, very gratifying and fulfilling. And I want to just say thank you not only for those who impacted our graduates at the last stage and last mile, sometimes in the last hours before the graduation to get their credits in, but for everybody from the kindergarten experience throughout. It's an experience that takes 13 years, and I'm very, very grateful to have been doing this. This is the 10th graduation year that I was able to attend. Also, the other reports I want to share, last week as NSBA Secretary Treasurer and a member of our board, I was able to spend some of my personal time while I'm on the East Coast for work, to be on Capitol Hill to meet with United States Representative Suzanne Bonamici, Democratic from Oregon, and ranking member of the House Education Workforce Subcommittee on early childhood, elementary, and secondary education, and also was able to attend on the invite of NSBA one of those hearings that they had with superintendents from across the nation. They subpoenaed one superintendent, and several came voluntarily to be asked questions by the members of Congress on the invite of the majority of the House. And it was really important experience to witness and see the work that school districts do and the focus. And I was very grateful for Congresswoman Bonamici to really ask the critical question of every superintendent: what are you hearing from your community? What are the top issues? And those top issues are similar to the issues that we experience, and grounding the discussion both nationally and locally on what is important for the kids, and what we're hearing from families and children was really good reminder of staying focused on that work. Also, I got to discuss with her, thank her for supports of public education, including the Keep Public Funds in Public Schools Act that she's championing and co-sponsoring, and also had the opportunity to speak with both members of Congress representing Corvallis School District, Congresswoman Hoyle and Bynum. And that's my report.
Thanks, Sammy. Brittany?
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat all of the graduation events, but it has been a few weeks since we last met. And one of the events I attended, and I want to congratulate the CSD theater program, and was Clue. It was actually a very fun evening watching that. And also, I want to say we had a great year-end wrap-up of our District Equity Committee, and Brandy Douglas did a great job telling us and making us think, and I'm still thinking about some of the issues she brought up. So, thank you.
Thanks, Bernie. Other board members? Judah?
I just wanted to say that I was only able to go to the College Hill graduation on Friday. I wound up getting a really brutal migraine, and so I was very sad to miss the other high schools, but my congratulations are with all the graduates.
Chris?
I too had the privilege of attending all of the graduations, and some of the other events, such as the Wings graduation and Life Skills graduation. And I just want to say with that, I was just so impressed with all our students who spoke during the graduations, and just their knowledge and their message of hope, and their message of just moving on to their fellow students, I thought was so impressive. And at CHS, the speaker was one of their teachers, and I just always appreciate that they choose somebody in staff, and he did a great job as well. I also attended, as several did, the foundation celebration where they honored Rick Wallace, who is leaving the foundation, and just the amazing work that he has done for our foundation and for our district. He worked for the district for many years and was a very well-loved teacher, and just all that he's done for us. And I just wanted to give that shout out, and I was happy that they honored him as well. And then I was able to attend the Franklin promotion, and that was very exciting for those 8th graders. And then the Bridges Showcase Garden Party was very fun. Those kids have done an amazing job in that garden. It's very impressive, and just all the work that they've done was really exciting to get to see and to talk to them and the staff there. And then finally, I wanted to mention, because Teresa and I had met with Jay Harmon a while ago. He is a resident who lives up by Crescent Valley, who is trying to divide his property into building to create more homes in the area in the north side of town. And we met again, this time with one of our city council members, Carolyn Mayers, and somebody, I always forget where he's from. He's on the Corvallis Planning Commission, Brennan Kohlberg, and just talked about what we can do as a community to really help the development of the area. And it was a really good talk, and Carolyn and I also had a really good connection with her and as city council members. So, and I would like to pass this on to you just because I thought you'd find this information interesting that Jay shared with us.
All right. In addition to graduations, I had a number of things on my list from, like you said, Lou, back late May, coming into June, since we haven't had a meeting in a while. So just wanted to give a shout out to Valerie Goldman and Katie Kinney for the invitation to the mariachi concert last month at Garfield that featured both students from Garfield as well as Linus Pauling, which was just a wonderful celebration of music and family and connection, which I really enjoyed. I've had a chance to be at a couple of innovation team meetings these last 2 months, the final 2 of this school year, and to really see just the thoughtful work that educators who are giving this extra time to be part of the innovation team, to really think thoughtfully about what does education look like, not just next year, but moving forward in Corvallis schools. So want to give some gratitude to those educators who have been participating, and gratitude for being able to be there as someone who was listening along and learning along with them. I had a chance to see CV's ensemble play at the OSAA State Championships at LaSalle's under Sarah Perkins' direction, which was, oh my gosh, we have so many incredible musicians in this district and wonderful things happening. So I really enjoyed that. I think they ultimately took 5th in that state level competition, which was exciting. I had a chance to see the final end of year CV CHS speech and debate showcase, which, when you need some hope to go and hear our young people speak about what's important to them, is pretty phenomenal. And this last week, I know a group of students were in Washington, D.C. and Virginia competing at the national championships for speech and debate. So congratulations to them for that. And then I think most of the things I have on my list were mentioned by other folks. Our terrific end-of-year equity committee meeting that happened with some really deep learning and connection happening there as well. And then all of the incredible graduations. I really appreciated being there, celebrating with students and families for a number of graduations, including College Hill, Crescent Valley, CHS, Wings, and then some of the additional graduation celebrations that really uplift students and families linguistically, culturally, identity-wise, to both have those larger celebrations where the community is coming together to uplift everyone, as well as some of the smaller, more personalized ceremonies that are really meaningful for families to be a part of. So thank you.
Thanks, Shauna. Thanks, everyone. I know we're just out of time. I'm going to go ahead and go over mine briefly. We saved time on the acknowledgements, I think. Like everyone, graduations were really great. In addition to CHS, CV, and College Hill, I also was able to go to the DLI graduation and the Native student graduation. Unfortunately, I was not able to make the Black student graduation, and I really appreciate those. It's like everybody's already said, it's awesome to see everybody at the end of their journey, and some of the students that we've worked with as board members, as our board reps, to see them graduate too and go on to their next steps. The equity committee meeting, just wanted to underline what everybody already said. And there's also the innovation team meetings. Have really appreciated those as well, and hearing what's coming next in those meetings, and just the excitement of the staff for next year too, just keep continuing the conversation and that not be like the end, because it's the end of the school year, and them think about like who else should be on here, who's missing, and so just their excitement has been really cool to witness and be part of. And then other things is the Indian Education Literacy Night. I was able to attend that. And Steph Littlebird was able, a native artist was able to give out some of her books and sign them for families. That was really cool. And then probably not as exciting for everybody else, but I got to meet with an auditor for the CSD annual audit. So I know everybody's jealous of that one. It was a great conversation though. I like that one actually, because it makes you think about what's going on in the district. So that was part of what I did this last month, and went to the Corvallis Public School Foundation meeting this week. And also was able to go on a tour of Jackson Street Youth Shelter, and just wanted to share some appreciation for the work that they do for the students in the district as well. And it was really great to spend a little bit of time there as well. And that's it for me. And I wanted to also say thank you to all of the PTAs and staff that have been sending invites. I think people heard that we want to get invited, and they actually sent some, and we really appreciate it. Please continue to send invites in the coming year to the board, and we'll do our best to attend what we can. Obviously, we can't be at every single thing. However, we do appreciate the invite, do our best to go. And I've seen an increase in board member reports too, since you all have been doing that they're going to them. So thank you. Next on the agenda is superintendent's report. Ryan?
Thanks. I just have a few things to highlight and note. The first one is around graduation. So as you know, I was able to enjoy many of those with you. They just remind me that I continue to get older as I see kids walk across the stage and shake hands. Even kids who parents had baby showers at our house before they were born. So it makes you realize, just kind of blows you away. So a couple to highlight in general. The first one is College Hill. Judah talked about that. But College Hill had 62 graduates this year, which is the most that they have had in their history. It doesn't mean there's more kids there. They've just had more graduates, which was super fun and enjoyable to be a part of. The group at Wings was a large group of students. Some of those kids I've known since they were little, which was really exciting too. Wings, if you don't know, is a program for our students who are turning 21, and they work on continuing to develop skills around pre-employment, around work experience, functional independent living, self-advocacy, and social emotional growth. So it was a great time to celebrate them. And then this was the first year that we had a Black high school graduation, and that was a regional graduation. We had students from as far away as Newport and Lebanon participating in that. It was at the Corvallis Center, and I know that they plan to continue to do that year after year. So that was a nice one. I wasn't the first one to kick it off. It was pretty close, though, over the weekend, so that was great. Another thing I want to highlight is our retirees. So we have 22 retirees. So I want to name them and also their years of service. as you do the years of service, to think about as we think about retaining staff in our district. It's some of these folks have been with us for a number of years. It's really cool. So I'm going to start with the fewest and move on to the most. So Claudia Dicey at Letitia Carson, 5 years. Shelley Willis at Letitia Carson, 8 years. Amelia Ingersoll at Garfield, 11 years. Kristen Gradwall at the District Office of Technology, 17 years. Sheila Mulligan at Sheldon, 18. Art Coble at Wings, 19. I can't imagine Wings not seeing Art there. Sally Swing at Linus Pauling, 19. Teresa Dolly at Adams, right next door, 20. Lisa Egan at CHS, 20. Adrienne Olson Tracy at the Central Kitchen for 20. Tammy Wood at Catherine Jones Harrison for 20. Mona Beach Bernardi at KJH, again, Catherine Jones Harrison, 22. Judy Good in operations, 25. Diane Nickel at Sheldon, 26. Stacy Free at Franklin, 27. Paige Hawkins at Franklin, 27. Teresa Parrott at Sheldon, 28. Matthew Criscione at Adams, 29. Charlene Ellis at CHS, 29. Deanna Yoba at College Hill, 30. Trudy Ewing at College Hill or Corvallis High School, 32. And David Turner in Wings for 33. So again, the number of years that folks stay with us and care for our kids and help them to be prepared for the next stage, it's just phenomenal. I oftentimes share that this district is unique in the fact that when people come here, they stay here for years and years and years. And so it's just great to see and so recognize so many great folks and folks that I'll literally walk into spaces and miss seeing or expect to see them for months to come. Teresa next door, I love to go over there and we banter back and forth, and I'm going to miss that, no doubt about it. A couple of other things. Summer meals are underway. It's on our website. I'm not going to name the locations and the hours because they differ or vary from location to location, but know that that's up and running. Also, I'm returning in the fall. We have our staff starting back August 25th. We've been able to share information about start dates. For this year, our back to school is going to be at LaSalle's Stewart Center. We have a support from Oregon State School of Ed in order to do that. So that will be happening on August 27th. I'll get you the times. It's going to look a little different this year than it has in the past in terms of the kickoff, but that's where we will be. And our 26, 27 calendars are online, so folks who need that information can find it there. Finally, just a couple of other things. So today, this morning, I took the oath of office as the COSA president for the upcoming school year. COSA is our Coalition of Oregon School Administrators, serving about nearly 3,000 administrators across the state. So I'll be in that presidential role this year, which means I'll have more opportunities to speak at the legislature as we move into the long session and bring forward topics that matter to our students and need to be fully informed to our legislators. So that will be a thing that I'll be up to this year, and I appreciate your understanding as I get pulled in many directions. And then also, like Sammy, I'll be headed to DC the first week of July, the first full week of July, with my work with the AASA, our National Superintendent Organization. We have meetings scheduled with almost every Oregon legislator, and so senators and representatives. And at those meetings, there'll be 4 or 5 administrators from the state. And oftentimes we talk about national issues, but we also talk about local issues as we talk to our local electeds. So that's an opportunity. This is my 4th year participating in that. My term will expire at year 6, so I'll have a chance to do it a couple more times. But again, it's a great opportunity to share some of the highlights. This year, we're going to be sharing individual updates from each one of our districts with legislators, so it will be a little bit more personal than it's been the last few years. So those are some of the things happening over the next couple of weeks and months as we prepare for the next school year.
Thanks, Ryan, and congrats on the position.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't see cake or anything, but just kidding.
I didn't either.
I know. Wow. Okay, next item on the agenda is public testimony on the, oh wait, this is the one on the budget, right, first. Okay, there's two public comments, sorry. So the first public hearing for public testimony on the 26-27 budget is the one that's first. Do we have public comment? Oh. So we don't need to open it and then close it, right? To read the whole thing? Okay. We'll now open the public hearing period regarding the 26-27 budget. We value the lived experiences of students, families, staff, and the community and welcome public comment as an essential part of the district and board's work. The complete guidelines for public comment are available at the registration table outside the boardroom entrance and on the board's website. I will now share some important points when it is your turn to speak. Wait, I don't have to read that part. Okay. When it is your turn to speak, please come forward and take a seat and direct your comments to the board. Speakers may provide objective criticism of district operations and programs, but the board will not hear complaints about individual district personnel. As a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes to make your comments. Then I will alert you when you have 30 seconds, so when your time is up. After your comments, the board will have 3 minutes to ask clarifying questions, but cannot engage in conversation. If board members wish to revisit a topic or issue raised during public comment, they may do so at the appropriate time in the agenda. Before starting your comments, please state your name for the record and indicate whether you reside within the school district boundaries. And just to confirm, there's no comment on the budget, right? Hearing no comments, the public hearing is now closed. Next on the agenda is resolution number 26-0605. Adopt budget, make appropriations, impose property taxes, and categorize taxes. And Lauren's here for questions, right? Okay. Is there any discussion, questions from the board? Does anybody wish to make a motion?
You have it. Go for it.
I move that resolution number 26-0605 be adopted to adopt the budget, make appropriations, impose property taxes, and categorize taxes for the 2026-2027 fiscal year.
Second.
It's been moved by Judah and seconded by Sammy. Is there any further discussion? Judah?
I just wanted to say thank you to our budget committee members. That's a big ask and a lot of materials to go through. And thank you to the administration team for the really excellent, clear budget materials and the new methods of explaining parts of the budget that were included in our budget materials. I thought were really excellent, very clear, and I super appreciated them.
Any other comments? I too wanted to appreciate the budget, especially in light of what's going on across the state with school budgets right now, and it's pretty rough out there. And I appreciate everybody's work and everything with it. And so it has been moved by Judah and seconded by Sammy that resolution number 25-0605 be adopted to adopt the budget, make appropriations, impose property taxes, and categorize taxes for the 2026-27 fiscal year. Sammy?
Aye.
Judah?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Shauna?
Aye.
Bernie?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. Okay. Next on the agenda is public comment. We will now open the general comment period. We'll follow the same guidelines that I shared for the budget comments earlier in the meeting. Oh, I see how I said that. Yeah. Yeah. And I did want to say a reminder to make sure to turn the mic on with the little person button and make sure this light is red. And the timer will let you know. It'll be yellow when you have 30 seconds, and red, I will have to ask you to no longer speak when your time is up if you're not done by then. Okay, go ahead.
All right, good evening, board and district leaders. My name is Michael Eller, and I have 3 kids currently in the Corvallis School District because one of them just graduated from high school, so that's pretty exciting. So first, I want to thank the board for the recent advocacy during the May 7th meeting for just the improvements regarding the water testing and reporting at Mountain View School. I think that's really important. Access to clean water and safe water is a fundamental need for our community to really keep it healthy. And this is especially true for students and I think for staff. So thank you on that. Tonight, I'd just like to bring forward a question about building trust, specifically between the district, between the board, and our community. For much of the community, the actions of the past year have really significantly had an impact, really eroding the trust in the board's ability to provide governance and oversight of district decisions, specifically with the consolidation process with Letitia Carson and Sheldon Middle School. This loss of trust was acknowledged by Chair Whitebear when discussing the Superintendent Noss's year-end review on March 5th with the following statement. The board recognizes that there are issues with community trust that will require a great deal of work to repair, and there is a need to identify ways to unify our district. There will be other hard decisions ahead, and we need to engage more, communicate more, and provide a feedback loop that makes people feel heard. The board recognizes that this effort does not rest solely on the shoulders of Superintendent Noss and looks forward to partnering with him on these efforts, end quote. For any school district to thrive, regardless of size, geography, or economics, there has to be a working collaboration between the board, between the district, and the community. Like a 3-part Venn diagram, the sweet spot's always going to be in the center, where the 3 spheres come together. And working independently is not going to make any efficient progress. Personal agendas, social pressures, misunderstandings, and other issues want to pull those spheres apart. But it's really the key catalyst that brings them together is trust. Trust that each person is doing their part, committed to the same mission, the same goal, and that accountability measures are in place to maintain balance and progress. The loss of trust from the community will have a significant challenge for the anticipated hard decisions ahead, as well as hinder our district, our collective district, to weather the unexpected things to come. This can have big impacts to our students and to our staff and to the community at large. So let's address this now. So I ask tonight, what specific actions will the board take to rebuild trust with the community? What specific metrics will the board take to work with the district, specifically our superintendent, on how to rebuild trust? Now, following tonight's meeting, the board gets a 2-month break, and I hope it's the most refreshing, recharging break, because you guys deserve it. It's going to be a good time. Spend time with family and
Michael,
friends.
I'm sorry, but your time's up.
Oh, it's okay.
Apologize about that. Any questions from Bernie?
Yes, Michael. Since you said this is a collaborative process, what do you suggest we do? What are some of your suggestions?
Yeah, I think the first step is actually highlighted by Director Largent back in April 16th. And that is really that the community healing starts by acknowledging mistakes that have been made, and particularly during this consolidation process. Without taking those steps, without being honest and taking ownership, how do you move forward? So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
We have. It should be 2 minutes, I think.
Any specific mechanisms you would suggest for us to engage with the community, with, to partner?
Yeah, I think. Great question, right? And I think the best way to get an answer from anybody is just to have a face-to-face conversation. Sit down. I mean, metaphorically, have a meal with them, whatever it takes, but get to see that individual as it is, hear what they're going through, hear what's needed. The way that the teachers build such good rapport with students is that direct personal interaction. And I think together, working the board and the district and the community working together in person, not via email, not obstructed conversation is not going to make any progress. You got to have sit-down, real discussions. So, and I know there's boundaries on that, but I think those boundaries can also, we can work with those. So, thank you.
Sammy, there's 50 seconds left, just so you all know.
In less than 50 seconds, what actions do you think future boards, if they were in our seats, should done that we have not done?
I'm only one person of the greater community, but I'll just go back. Just honesty. I mean, that's at the beginning. That's what's needed. And there were multiple times during the consolidation process that honest answers were not being provided. So that's where I would recommend starting. Otherwise, as I said, we can't move forward if there's no honesty. So,
Thanks, Michael, for your time this evening.
thank you guys.
It's about to turn off. That's why I was letting you know that. Thank you. That's it? Okay. Hearing no further comments, the public comment period is now closed. The next item on the agenda is to ratify contract with Corvallis Education Association, and we have Melissa here to. Do you have something, or is it to answer questions?
I have a little bit of.
Great, thank you.
I have a few highlights to provide.
That
if
would
I
be
could.
great, because
All right.
there's a lot in there.
Yeah, there is. This was my first bargaining experience as the HR director, and I'm really excited to bring to you a contract to ratify tonight that is happening in June and not in August. So I think that's a huge celebration. What I wanted to highlight, and then I'm ready to answer questions too, is first of all that this is a 2-year agreement, and that is exciting for us. So we'll be bargaining again in 2028. Next year we'll be bargaining with our classified union. The two most discussed topics during bargaining this year were workload and artificial intelligence. Workload is mostly outlined in Article 18 of the contract, if you've seen some of the green highlights in there. And Article 18, under working conditions, the CEA team presented a lot of information from their members after a survey they took to discuss the impact of workload on their members' mental health and overall job satisfaction. And the CEA team proposed using something like a matrix, a workload matrix, to kind of measure, a rubric to measure workload and think about each teacher individually, multiple factors that would impact their workload and make it more difficult than another teacher, for example. They proposed that we work together to relieve workload issues for our licensed staff. And as a result, we added, there's a lot of things we did, but the first thing we did was in the Article 18, you'll see language that states the district and the association recognize the difference between caseload and workload. So that was our starting point. We had conversations about how long it would take to create such a workload matrix that would actually impact our staff. And knowing that we have been doing work like this for special education and for mental health staff, and it's taken like nearly a year of starting, refining, looking at it again, we talked about the fact that we need to take some time to make this workload matrix something that is functional for everybody. So instead of trying to write language and solve a problem and put it in the contract, we negotiated an MOA. And in the MOA, we're committing to work on that workload matrix over the next 2 years with the hope that it'll be like we have a starting point in 2027 and the ability to refine it over that year. And we've also proposed reserving a set amount of funds to help relieve workload issues in the meantime, because it was important for our union members to know that yes, we're working on the workload issue, but what happens in the short term. So we found a nice compromise for that. Other language that we negotiated in Article 18 is a big one, and that is a 45-minute prep period for our elementary staff. That is new. We used to have, or we still do actually for next year, a start of the day prep time for our elementary staff, but there was a lot of conversation about the fact that our elementary staff don't have protected time in the middle of the workday to take care of things that they need to do. And the suggestion was 5 days. We went back and forth in our negotiation. We recognized the need for that. We were trying to make it work in a way that made sense budgetarily. So in the end, we agreed to 4 days for a standard work week, 4 days of 45 minutes protected time in the middle of the workday. And we also had a very good understanding between both groups that this is really dependent upon the local option levy, because the local option levy provides for us the opportunity for our kids to have art and music and other opportunities during the work week. leaves, I was talking to Sammy just a little bit ago about this, as a part of workload, we agreed to 5 personal days every year. This is an increase of 2 personal days, and this is new. I don't know how else to say it. It's kind of like setting a precedent. There are only probably a handful of districts in the state that have more than 3 personal days, and they're only at 4, and we stepped out with 5. We believe that that is a way that we can help our staff in their well-being when to be able to take that time for themselves when they need to. But we then, in compensation, which you saw in the contract that I sent to you, we did a step adjustment. We redid the salary schedule with a focus on trying to create an entry-level pay that is enticing to new staff in order to attract new teachers. And the step shift happened, and then there was a 2.3% COLA on top of that. Our licensed staff were very interested in taking care of those younger teachers, and then next year it goes up by 3%. The other topic that was a big one was artificial intelligence, and it showed up in conversations regarding personal and academic freedom, privacy for our licensed staff, and in teacher evaluations. Licensed staff want to be allowed discretion in their use of AI and not to be told that they have to use it to complete tasks. Licensed staff did not want their evaluations to be written by AI, so that is something we agreed to as well. And licensed staff wanted to engage in our new instructional technology committee to provide input to the board as you all develop AI use policy. So that's kind of how, those are the highlights. There's a lot in there, and I'm available to answer questions if you have any.
Thanks so much, Melissa, for those highlights. Questions from the board? Judah?
So we're looking at some of the changes because of House Bill, the immigration
Yes.
enforcement reporting House Bill.
Yes.
Are there issues with it? We also just issued it, like, new guidance on that, the board did. How are we training staff on bringing those 2 kind of new elements for the next school year together?
So we'll be, every year we do training day at the start of the school year, and our training day with regard to immigration enforcement will be adjusted to reflect the new resolution that the board has passed, as well as information from the law that was just passed by the legislature. I was at the conference today with Ryan and talked with COSA policy advocacy staff, and they explained to us that we'll have a new policy to bring to you in July, August, September, in that time period to take a look at. That is the policy that OSBA is writing around the immigration enforcement law. So all of that will be packaged together as part of a training piece for our staff at the start of the year.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chris.
I just have a comment. I just really appreciated everything that I read on that contract, and that the 5-day personal days, I think, is huge for us to present to our staff, because 3 days was never enough.
Yeah.
And I just really want to appreciate the team for accepting that, and all of the other things that both sides did, just to really take care of our teachers who are working so hard. So thank you.
Thank you.
Shauna?
I'll just echo that thanks. I think with so many big changes coming in this next year, to have a contract that is in place, that folks hopefully feel good about,
Right.
that emphasizes, we very intentionally made sure educator well-being was also named in the board goals, not just student and family well-being, and to see that being reflected in changes in language and changes in access to, even little things like making sure there's confidential access to space for phone calls.
Right.
Some of these little details that make a difference in the emotional labor that staff carry every single day really speaks to that attention to well-being. So I think these are really positive steps, and I'm excited to see this move forward.
Fantastic.
Yeah, just echo what everybody said. That well, first of all, it's exciting that it's June, and we're seeing this in that staff are able to relax on their break, not wonder what the contract's going to look like when they come back. And just wanted to acknowledge that and say thanks to Bernie for representing the board in negotiations. And I really appreciate the staff being really specific about the AI part too,
Yeah.
since that didn't get mentioned yet, because that's a hot topic for educators of all levels.
Right.
And for them to already have in mind some things that are important to them in their contract, I think says a lot about where they're at. And also the care, like centering staff care, is like a really good for us to be doing. And that's probably why people want to stay so long.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's reflected in the contract. The needs are, it's clear that they're being taken care of in this one. Not that it doesn't ever, but you know, it seems like there was extra steps gone in
I
this
feel
contract this time.
Yeah.
So thank you for your work as your first
Thank you.
time in the role as HR director and doing that as well.
Thanks.
hmm Go ahead, Sammy.
I have a couple questions. First of all, I want to really share my gratitude for you and your leadership, and also for, to Bernie for being the liaison from the board overseeing the process. The membership already have voted in favor of ratification, correct?
Yes, they have.
Wonderful. That's
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And the second question, I saw some elements that may have been, I'm speculating, may have been informed by where we are at this stage with consolidation, etc., and the timeline of those decisions. One of them, I'm speculating, is this idea of mileage to reimburse staff
right.
members who are going from one building to another. I'm assuming as we have a different footprint in our district, probably we have more awareness of staff members are not going to stay in one building. Some of them are going to go from one to another, and this contract really provide reimbursements for mileage. Could you speak a little bit about that, kind of how consolidation may have informed the negotiation process?
I think that was a big piece of it, of the mileage question. We had a lot of staff who were split between buildings. Mileage is always paid, but they wanted it in the contract so that it was, we made sure it was there so that it was guaranteed, which was fine. That was a good, easy one because we already do that. But that definitely comes up for people. And I'm thinking about what else consolidation kind of brought together. I think I last year or 2 years ago, when we had art teachers who were split between, well, actually last year we had art teachers split between two buildings, we did do some work around the stipend, because elementary specialists can receive a stipend for doing things outside of the school day, as far as like, performing arts. And the idea of, well, if I'm in two buildings and I'm only one person, one full-time person, do I have to do two, projects at this school and two projects at that school? We had already kind of addressed that. Now it's like in the contract and guaranteed again. So those are just little bits and pieces of it.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yep.
Quick comment, or I can reserve it to the discussion after the motion.
It's up to you.
All right. My quick comment is congratulations. I think this is the most, for lack of better words, progressive and equitable and also sustainable contract. And I understand the tension between making sure we can give everything that's needed for what's best for the children and the staff who are negotiating, and to make sure that they can be taken care of, and also for the district to make sure this is sustainable. We can honor it year after year throughout the duration of the contract. And I think we have accomplished in this proposal really the best contract that's ever existed yet. And I really appreciate that work from all sides
Both
who
teams,
contributed to it.
Both teams, yes.
Yeah, thank you, both teams. And I want to echo Chris's points. I'm really, really grateful for this movement from 3 to 5 days. It's absolutely necessary for our educators, and they deserve even more. But I'm very grateful for this opportunity for them to be able to take care of themselves during the school year.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to make a motion? Your mic is off.
Chair, I would like to make a motion.
Okay.
Sorry, I clicked wrong. Here we go. I move to approve the collective bargaining agreement with CEA for 2026-2028.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
It's been moved by Sammy and seconded by Bernie. Is there any further discussion? Go ahead, Bernie.
It's just a comment. It was my first also, and I want to really acknowledge the professionalism of both sides. It was really great for me to see how collaborative of a process it was. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, comments? Didn't say earlier, but I just wanted to say some appreciation for CEA as well, and the representatives for really bringing the voices of their members forward. Okay, Sammy. Oh wait, just kidding. It has been moved by Sammy and seconded by Bernie to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Corvallis Education Association for 2026 to 2028. Sammy?
I vote aye.
Judah?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Shauna?
Aye.
Bernie?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is bias reporting update. Do we need to take a break yet, or are you all still good? Okay. We're gonna take a break in between the reports, so I'll give you time to transition to bias from
Okay.
from celebrating contract. Okay, thanks for your patience. Welcome back, everyone. Next on the agenda is the bias reporting update, which is not really as a happy topic, so I'm going to hand it back over to Melissa.
Sure. It's not, but this isn't the full year. This is just through March 20th. And it's pretty just kind of standard data that we pulled. You'll see a more extensive report for the full year when we come back in the fall. So just kind of taking a look at trends to see where we're at. We're seeing more CSD staff reporting than we have before, but keeping in mind again that many of those staff are reporting on behalf of students, which is something that we encourage. If you have a trusted adult you can talk to, that would, to do that report, that's a really good thing. The types of bias are listed there, and just a note that that those numbers exceed 100% because sometimes those bias incidents are more than one thing at a time. And then one other piece on the back of the report is the impact by level. And we're kind of right in that same percentage range that we were last year. And again, this is just through March 20th. So we finished the year on June 11th. And Kristen, who works in my office, some of this data we can get automatically, and some of this data she has to really kind of comb through. So the report that I give you in the fall is the report where she's combed through and gotten some information out of there. If there's not questions, maybe if you have a request for a certain type of data that you'd like to see in the fall, then that's something that she could be working on as we get ready for that report. Before, we've talked about dividing things by gender, looking at like how many times a person has offended or been in a bias report. Those are things we've talked about before. Gender is difficult because that is like and individually her going into every single report and pulling that out because it's not defined, it's not a factor defined in the reporting system that we use. So that one is hard, but we've done, last time we did the use of the N-word because that was one area that we were really focused on. And we also talked about it based on like who was the person using it, those types of things. So those are data that we can pull out again and present in the fall.
Thanks, Melissa. Sammy, I've seen your hand up.
Thank you, Melissa. I'm sorry. Point of personal privilege. I need to lay down as much as possible. So if I'm slouching, it's not about the
Slouch
topic.
away. I taught high school. It's really fine. I used to see it all the time.
I apologize. We know our goals, and we know this is important. I want to lean on your expertise with the first question, which is what data or what additional data you think would be helpful for us to get closer to our goals? What do you think is missing in your expertise?
Interesting. That's a good one. What data is missing that we need to help us get closer to our goals?
Correct.
I know that with our focus on ensuring, we just finished talking about staff well-being, so now let's talk about students too. One of the things that we have put in place is that that follow-up in 4 weeks, which was not only a way to make sure that students knew, someone was taking care of them in their bias report, but it's also another point of contact with the trusted adult who is there to help if there's continued concern. Right now what we're measuring is just kind of like, what does that look like? Like, what is one of the questions is there anything we could have done better? So I think those are the questions that are getting us closer to our conversations about our board goal around making sure our students feel like they're in a healthy community, and our staff, because our staff are sometimes part of the bias reporting as well. So I think that would be one of the places.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Judah, and then Bernie, and then Chris.
So something we had talked about last year that our students have brought forward is some students feeling like they didn't want to report because they didn't feel like it did anything.
Right.
And so if you have any information about how the new follow-up check-in system is impacting reporting, or maybe any information about how the students who reported are feeling, the process is different or the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to see, I don't know if you have collected it before, but I like to see where these incidents are happening. Were they online, on campus, or off campus, and what kind of trends we're seeing there.
In the past, we've talked about kind of what Bernie was saying, talking about sporting events, where that's happening, and am interested in that. I also appreciate that our numbers of bias incidents is going down at the high school level, or at least less than at the middle school, where it's still pretty high. And I'm wondering, I know at the high school that the coaches have been doing a lot of work with their athletic director on talking to kids and having it's almost like a class presentation that they do with all the sporting teams. And I'm wondering if we're doing that at the middle school level as well.
Okay.
And what else we can do at that level to decrease those issues.
That was a great example that CHS did with bringing in all of the student athletes into the auditorium and having a conversation about this is what it looks like and this is not okay, so this can't happen. And it's a large group of kids, and it's a place where it does happen a lot, obviously. So I like that idea of with our junior high athletes, because next year we'll have one junior high and we'll have multiple sports, and it shouldn't be that difficult to bring those kids together to do something like that. So I like that idea.
Go ahead, Shauna.
Melissa, I was just going to ask either now or for coming back in the fall, just around other lessons learned from implementation of the system.
Okay.
And I think that builds off of what Judah referenced in terms of those things that we hear year to year, where I think it was maybe 2 years ago where there was some need for additional ways of teaching younger students about the system and different infographics or different ways of presenting information and sharing that with them. And then looking at some of the older students feeling like maybe the system isn't following through or having those feedback loops, which both is important for confidentiality, but also folks wanting to know that they've been heard, or that things have been addressed. And so just lessons learned through those processes, or if there's other trends or other implementation challenges or lessons learned that have come up that could help us understand how the system's working, continual improvement to that support as well.
And also, so last time I presented with my colleague Byron, because we had just gotten into our work with West Ed and specifically focusing on anti-Blackness and what can we do in our schools as far as systems are concerned. And so we're very fortunate that grant has been approved again for another year. So we'll be continuing that work with West Ed. So I will probably invite my friend Byron to come with me for that presentation so that he can give y'all an update too on where we're at with that.
I have a couple questions too, of course,
It's okay.
on this. One of them is the percentages on here are the percentages of reporters, not percentages of students, right? By level. Is that something? Okay.
Wait.
On
Those are incidents. Are you talking about impact by level?
Yeah, the impact by level.
Those are the number of incidents at each level, percentage of yeah.
So 12%.
So of the 100%, so 55% of the incidents that have been reported happen there. Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is, not because it's a small fraction of students, but for especially students from the backgrounds that are often targeted, like we've had this ongoing anti-Blackness happening in our schools that I bring up every time we have this report. Is there a way to see like what percentage of student populations, like if it's about racism, what percentage of students of color are being impacted by this? So that way it's not like too distilled where it's going to identify people. But and this is the one time where I'd want to aggregate the data.
Okay, got it.
And so when I usually am like disaggregate all the time, but this is one where I think it would be in their best interest for privacy to aggregate, like, so if we have whatever our percentage of students of color are right now, I can't remember, I'd have to look at our numbers. What percentage of the reports are students of color?
Okay.
So is it like 1% of the students of color experiencing bias on race? And the same with the LGBT one. I don't know if we have that number for a number of students, but things like that. We're knowing the percentages of the students that are actually experiencing this, because I think that's also important to know, because as we know, certain populations don't even show up on reports because there's not enough of a population center, and so they're always erasing the data. So that's why I'm like, if we pull them together, maybe we can No, a little bit.
Okay, but aggregate. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And the other one is how is the information informing school norms? So I know, like, as far we talked about the athletics and stuff like that, but what other things are we noticing at the school levels? Like, is there things in their I forget what each one of them calls it something different. Like in middle school, they have
Well, they have like advisor in the
Yes,
advisor,
or-
and how that this is turning into a lesson, or okay.
Yeah. So like how much of what's happening in their school. So like you can easily see which schools are experiencing certain things through your report in the fall, like the full one.
Yes.
And so we know like this school is experiencing a high level of this kind of bias. So how is that informing those things, or like how clubs are supported at the schools that have clubs and things like that?
Okay.
So that's kind of a question that's more around the norms of the school, because what I always hear students saying is like, that's just how it is.
Right.
Right. And so then that's sad for them to say that. And then the other one is because it got brought up about like where, and it made me think about, so it could be on sporting trips, it could be on the way home, it could be at somewhere else. Are people getting trained, like besides coaches, like the bus drivers, on how to report? Are they reporting? And so that's probably a Kim question, but that'd be something I'd like to know, like if they're actually going to actually report anything, because stuff happens there that probably is not getting reported too. And then and that could be on a way to game or way home or to school or whatever, and or to a concert for that matter. Okay, I think that was all my questions about this. So
Thank you.
any other questions? Do you have oh, I thought you raised your hand again. Okay, go ahead, Sammy. One more.
Very brief one. Do you see value of value and return on investments on investing and understanding what kind of bias reporting is happening through the city of Corvallis, the county? I know we tried a little bit of that, but I'm not sure if they're producing anything that could help. Do you agree, or is there anything we can do?
I don't look at any of that. I don't have any of that data or look at that data. So no.
The city doesn't collect that data.
I remember they wanted to at a certain time, but I'm not sure if they are. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only people in town that do is the university, and that's a whole different data set.
Yeah.
And people get referred to the state reporting line for bias, because there's a state reporting line.
Outside this.
It's through Department of Justice, yeah. So that's a whole complete data set too that we wouldn't be able to see either. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks, Melissa. Next on the agenda is water testing update with Kim. You have a presentation? Ooh.
But before I go into water quality, I wanted to just give you a quick update about what's been happening in our schools since the last day of school. We've been packing, and I want to give a special appreciation out to teachers and classified staff who have done an amazing job packing up our school classrooms and shared spaces all over the buildings. I really want to recognize leaders Stephanie Seals and Amy Sampson, the principals at Letitia Carson and Sheldon, because they have really done an amazing job leading their staff through something that is really difficult, and they've accomplished their goal of being packed up by the end of this week. So I attribute that to their roles in their buildings. I want to thank you to the district office teams who went out and helped pack this week. That was a big support for building staff. And lastly, I want to acknowledge our custodial staff, because they are supporting the moves, and they have a Herculean effort of cleaning amongst the organized chaos of moves for the next 2 months. And so I just think acknowledging that publicly is important. So that being said, I'll go into my water quality. So we can go ahead and skip to the next slide. So our school district tests water quality based on our Oregon Department of Education's Healthy and Safe Schools Plan, referred to as a HASS plan. It's to encourage lead in water testing and transparency for community school districts. It's required under statute, required under Division 22, And the requirement is for us to test every 6 years. When it first was implemented, we as a district wanted to elect to test every 5 years, which we have been on track for. After this last year's testing at Mountain View, we're increasing Mountain View's water testing to every 3 years. So that's just a general overview. At Mountain View this year, we tested all of the required fixtures. So that's drinking water locations. There are very few that are exempt, but we requested all required fixtures. We took remediation measures for any fixture that tested above 10 parts per billion. The requirement under Oregon Health Authority is anything over 15 parts per billion, so we took a more aggressive approach to that. The remediation included replacing classroom drinking fountains and some classroom faucets. We retested, and we still had elevated lead levels. So at that point, we knew we were going to have to investigate further. We installed lead filters at all drinking water sources in the 2 wings of the building, primary and intermediate, where we had not replaced the piping during the bond. So those filters were installed, and we retested, and we tested below 5 parts per billion, which told us that we had safe drinking water, so we opened those up. In addition to that, we then reached out to Oregon Health Authority, who has an engineering firm on contract, and we wanted to evaluate why we were seeing the corrosion in our pipes and the leaching of the lead. So we have completed that report. They have recommended the installation of a calcite contactor. So one of the things that I didn't necessarily put in this report, at Mountain View, we are on a well system. Let me clarify that. We're on a well. We test at our source, and we have safe drinking water at the source. So what we know to be true is that it's leaching from our pipe system. We have a reverse osmosis system that demineralizes the water, which makes it more palatable for people to drink. When we do that, what the engineer has told us is that we are creating a pH that is creating the corrosion. And so by installing a calcite contractor, it will balance the pH and then have ongoing effects of no longer increasing corrosion of the pipes. So that is the recommendation. We've submitted that to Oregon Health Authority, and once we have that approved from Oregon Health Authority, we would install that system. There would be ongoing testing. In the meantime, we are leaving the lead filters in place because we want to make sure that we have safe drinking water for everyone. Something that we did just this last 2 weeks, we did retest. We're at the 5-month mark. The manufacturer's recommendation on lead filters is 6 months. We retested at the 5-month period, and all fixtures were below 2.5 parts per billion. So they are doing their job and creating a safe drinking water for our school. They will be replaced next month. So I put this slide in because I want to make sure everyone knows. I mentioned that we're on a well system. It's a non-transient, non-community drinking water system, and all testing results and compliance are listed on the website. And I put a little picture of what that looks like. So if anyone's interested in looking it up, they can go and see all of our source water testing, which means we test before it enters the building, just as it's coming out of the well. We tested at Adams. Again, every fixture that was required for testing in February. 0 fixtures exceeded 10 parts per billion, so no remediation was necessary. We have safe drinking water. Catherine Jones Harrison was all tested in March of 2026. We had 2 fixtures that tested above 10 parts per billion, and I'm going to tell you that those were individual hand washing sinks in classrooms in the primary wing that had shelves built over them. They were not used for a very, very long time, and they are at the end of the water line. And so we made the decision to just remove those sinks because there's another sink in the classroom, and so they have been permanently removed and had not been accessible for drinking water in several years. So. This is just a reminder that we are testing every 5 years and every 3 years at Mountain View. And then on the next slide, we just have a chart. And I was looking at this chart, and I'm going to refer you to the board report because there's a couple extra check marks there. One of the things that I wanted to demonstrate is every school is tested every 5 years, and that we have an extra in there for a couple schools just to get us back on evening us out from year to year. With staffing transitions, we had a couple years where, it's not been 5 years, so we didn't test, but it gets us unbalanced from year to year. So we're working on getting us back into averaging out for a year. So we will be reporting this out to the board, similar to this in future years. And we are also, Kelly and I are working on how to improve the website access so that anybody can find lead drinking water sample reports either on a school website or on our main webpage. So with that, are there any questions?
Bernie?
Yes, Kim, can you give me a ballpark figure how much the remediation at Mountain View cost?
That's a good question. The calcite contractor is about $12,000 to $15,000. The lead filters are about $150 a piece. For the initial installation, the replacement filters are not that expensive, and the fixtures themselves are probably closer to $500 a piece. So, if that helps.
Chris?
Thanks, Kim, for all that really good information. What is, and I don't know, this might not be able to answer this in our meeting with timing, but what is the process of testing the water like at Mountain View? I mean, I know when I lived on a well what the process was, and it wasn't very time consuming. So what is it there?
I'm going to give you the overview of what that looks like. So we are intended to test on a day with normal use. And so what normal use usually looks like is we're running the water up until about 2:30 p.m. So if it is a school day, we don't bother flushing, but if it isn't a school day, we flush it around 2:30 to make sure that we've moved water through the system. And then we come in first thing, it has to be the first draw before any water is used within the building. And it's basically we're holding a cup and we're turning the faucet on and catching that first draw. And then we put that aside, and then there's a certain amount of time that you run it to take a second draw. And so the theory behind that is we test the first draw because we want to know what is first coming out of the fixture. If that tests high, you would test the second draw to know if it's the fixture or if it's the pipe, because the water sitting in the pipe can have a different amount of exposure than what's in the fixture. And so then the remediation cycle would be, okay, let's evaluate those two test results. Let's make a plan. Is it going to make sense to replace the fixture, or is it the pipe? And what was that remediation going to look like?
Can I follow up on that? Is it possible for us to test the water at Mountain View annually instead of every 3?
We could make whatever, it's not against regulation to do so. So we could consider that, yes.
Other questions? Sammy?
Kim, could you walk us through a little bit of 15 versus 10 parts per billion? My understanding, all of them except one was below 10, correct? Is there any specific guidance that an action needs to happen when you're above 10 or when you're above 15? Why these two limits or thresholds are there?
Well, the state threshold, it was 15 parts per billion. That's last school year. And we opted to take action at 10 parts per billion because if we're seeing 10 parts per billion, we might then presume that we could be creeping over the next 5 years. So we took a more aggressive approach. However, I believe that as of July 1st, the state has lowered the threshold to 10 parts per billion. So I will likely do something similar of looking like there's a range below that because I want to make sure that we're being more aggressive than what the requirement is.
Wonderful, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? You answered some of my questions, and it was about making sure that the information, because we had that was one of our recommendations too, in conversations with folk, was to have a link on the school pages.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just looked again, and I was like, oh, it's not. And then you answered, that's why it's because y'all are busy doing many things right now. I understand that.
We are. We're going to take that on this summer.
Yeah.
It just was a lot to juggle right now.
And I know that the link for the tests themselves is actually an external page, right? And so the other idea was to have a note of like where that information comes from, because it just auto loads in the district page. And you can't modify that, but before you do that, it might be nice to have a note of like where that information is coming from, and it's not an internal system that's running that. So I just wanted to mention that too. And just say thank you for this. I actually think this report is really helpful. and appreciate being able to get the information and for everybody to learn more about it and know that like all the schools have things. And I know like I'm always like, if it's not brand new, it probably has lead, and because the pipes. And I did want to say this conversation is also impactful for people to think about drinking water more generally, and that's something I'm passionate about anyways. And so it inspired me to use with some of my research at work a little home testing kit at work, and I didn't want to because I work in Waldo, if you know what Waldo Hall is on campus. And I was like, this looks borderline. And I was like, how often do we test the lead here? And they're like, we don't know. And they're like, there's filter water. And because of this experience, I was like, but they're probably not lead filters. And so I don't know if we're going to be able to fix our water in Waldo, but I just want to say I appreciate, even on a personal level, learning about this through your work and through community engagement and thinking a little bit more, even though I also do water things, I don't really do it in that context as much. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Yes, no problem.
All right. Next on the agenda is consolidated action. As a reminder, the items under this portion of the agenda are for action. Does anyone have a question about anything in consolidated action? There was a lot of information in there. I don't know if anybody has questions about it though. Any questions? I just wanted to make sure folk know that we don't read all of these resolutions. You hear us read resolutions sometimes, but we don't read these ones. They're appointing folk to do the business of the district, not the board. They don't do our business. They do district business. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Chair, I move to approve consolidated action as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Judah and it's been moved by I was writing your name. It's been moved by Sammy and seconded by Judah. Is there any further discussion? It's been moved by Sammy and seconded by Judah to adopt the consolidated action items as submitted. Sammy?
Aye.
Judah?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Shauna?
Aye.
Bernie?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is consolidated information. As a reminder, the items under this portion of the agenda are for discussion. Would anyone like to discuss an item in consolidated information? Sammy?
Quick question on financials.
Okay, financials.
And then also the virtual charter school.
And virtual charter. So we'll do financials first. I see you coming up.
Thank you, Lauren, and sorry I did not give you a heads up, but it should be an easy one. We just ratified a contract which provide us a little bit of more certainty in our financial status. This report is as of April 30, 2026. So what I want to ask you is, with the ratification of the contract, is there less unknowns or more certainty that you have, and could you highlight what that looks like?
You turned it off.
The red light is sort of confusing. So the new contract that we ratified doesn't take effect until July 1st of 2026, so it doesn't really apply to financials for the current year, but will play into our long-range plan, obviously. And we were able to negotiate a contract that met both the needs of CEA and our financial obligations. So, yeah, it fits within the assumptions that we have for our multi-year.
Wonderful, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Any other questions on financials? Okay. Shauna, you had a question about virtual charter enrollment?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a question so much as a comment, but just wanted to, this is something that includes numbers that we get asked about quite often by the community around the percentage of students who live in the district who are attending public schools versus other forms of school, whether it's virtual public schools or, charter schools or other, or homeschooled and so on. And I'm just wondering, since we have this information here showing the spring 2026 calculations, and then there's also for reference fall 2025 calculations, just wanting to point out to the community that those numbers are being shared here for folks who have questions about that. And Melissa, I was wondering if you could give just a quick overview on maybe just some trend differences that we're seeing between 2025 and 2026.
I think that it was probably a little bit jarring to see the difference from just the fall to now. But I think one of the positives of this calculation for spring is that our numbers on the line of students enrolled in private schools located within the district now only represents actual Corvallis district students who are attending those private schools. So in the fall, that number was actually just the total enrollment of kids in private schools, and they can come from all over. So that number shifted quite dramatically, and that is a number that is really important to a lot of people. So I think it's important that we have it here too, and I am grateful that we're able to get specific data from our private schools.
Thanks,
So-
Melissa.
Yeah, so in the past, as an example, St. Anne Christian is the largest private school in our area, and we had to say 20% of represented between Corvallis and Philomath attending, and so it just became, it was hard to communicate that, and so this is definitely cleaner, and thanks to Melissa for her work on that.
Sammy?
Since Melissa did not say the numbers, is it okay if I share those on the record? Originally in the fall, we had 1,127 students in private schools surveyed that go to private schools in Corvallis. However, in spring 2026, we have 473 students, about slightly above 7% of Corvallis School District students only in private schools. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I was surprised by the numbers too. I was like, thank you for doing that, because I think that answers a lot of questions that people have that we get as a board about the numbers. I appreciate that actually showing that number. Thank you. Any other questions? Bernie?
Just one quick thing. There's a reference here about OAR 581-026-0305. Can you explain that to me a little bit? We just can't deny because we don't have a similar program.
Right. So the OAR says that if a school district is over 3% of their enrollment enrolled in virtual charter schools, they can start denying students to transfer out of the district to go to a virtual charter, but they have to be able to offer alternatives within the district. We don't have an online school, so we don't have an online alternative within our district, so we are not able to say you cannot go. That's basically what that is.
Can I add 2 points about that? The first is that as if you were to look at graduation outcomes and look at virtuals across the state, the outcomes are far below our norms and expectations. So all along I have said I don't think that that's a good plan for us. So we could have that discussion in the future if we wanted to, but that's sort of my starting point in the conversation. And secondly, the appeal can go to the Department of Education, and then according to my colleagues, it's about a 50-50 coin flip. So that doesn't mean that you are in any ways keeping those kids in your system. So that's those are considerations if people are wondering about that.
Okay. Cool. Alrighty. That is no more questions on those two. The next item on the agenda is election of the 2026 to 27 school board officers, and we're starting with the chair position. We do not need a motion, just names of the people you would like to nominate for the position of board chair for the fiscal year 26-27. Does anyone wish to make a motion? Shauna?
Do I put this in motion format?
You just say
in
the
terms of
name.
Names?
It says you do not need a motion, you just say the names.
Okay. Can I give explanation at this point in time, or just name and then wait for discussion?
No, you can, it's not a motion, so you can just Yeah,
talk.
yeah.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I was
We're
following
not, it's not a formal motion second.
Okay.
We do, have a, yeah, we do vote on it, but it's not through motion. I am reading my packet.
Okay. I would like to nominate Dr. Lahui Whitebear to continue serving as board chair. I believe that in your term, you can continue serving another year if we elected you to do so, and there are a couple of reasons for this. One, I've continued to learn a tremendous amount from your leadership. I think you do a beautiful job of really modeling authenticity, of your own dedication and care to this role in serving educators and serving the community and serving students. You've spent significant time with regional and state level involvement and leadership and making sure that we are both showing up in spaces of advocacy for public education as well as learning from other districts around us, uplifting them in those spaces as well. And we're in the middle of a really major transition. And we've gone through significant decisions over this last year that are going to have a profound impact on the district in terms of consolidation, shifts and changes, and having some stability in leadership, and leadership that really has been attending to the need for ongoing and deep community engagement, awareness of repair work that needs to be done, as well as how we deepen those connections in community and carry that work forward. I think it's a time for your continued leadership, and I would like to nominate you to continue in this role if you would accept that nomination.
Thanks, Shauna. I would accept that nomination. I appreciate that. Thank you. Is there any other nominations? Okay. Hearing no, or is there any objection? That's not on the thing, but hearing no objections or further nominations, the nominations are closed. I guess the objection would be if I declined it, right? That's okay. Okay. It does have us, Kim, the directions are confusing on here. It has us vote, but without a motion. Or is that we vote if there's... Just a nomination and then you vote on the nomination. Okay. Thank you. I know, I'm just like... Thank you so much. Okay, you're right. I got confused last year too. Thanks. So, Sammy?
Aye.
Judah?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Shauna?
Aye.
Bernie?
Aye.
And I think I should abstain. No? Oh, okay. I vote aye, so the motion passes. Thank you all. The new chairs, or continued chairs duties are effective July 1, 2026. And as a reminder, we have 2 co-vice chairs for one of the co-vice chair positions. Again, we do not need a motion, just names of people you would like to nominate for the position of board co-vice chair for the fiscal year 2026 to 27. Does anyone wish to make a nomination? Judah?
I nominate Chris Hawkins.
Are you going to, you have to either, you would
I
say,
accept.
okay. Is there any other nominations?
May I nominate?
No, what was that?
Said, may I nominate someone?
For the same position?
No, sorry, for the second. Are we
They're
doing
one
them
at a time.
separate? Oh.
They're each position's separate. Okay. Hearing no objections or further nominations, the nominations are closed. Sammy?
Aye.
Judah?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Shauna?
Aye.
Bernie?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion passes. Okay, now we're on the other one. Co-vice chair, the other co-vice chair. We do not need a motion, just names of the people you would like to nominate for the position of board co-vice chair for the fiscal year 2026 to 27. Does anyone wish to make any motion?
I nominate Judah.
This looks conspiratorial.
It
but
does. We don't talk about this ahead of time, so it's very kind of uncomfortable, I guess,
I
on my
accept.
part.
Any other nominations? I was going to nominate Shauna, but I feel awkward.
I nominate Shauna.
Thanks, Sumi. And do you accept or?
I accept the nomination, and I'm also open to stepping back in that role if that's a. I don't know if we can have discussion around this.
You can.
If it's a
You
role
can have
that
discussion.
that Judah would like to step into.
I mean, since we can't discuss this ahead of time, I'm comfortable with Shauna's leadership. I thought you maybe didn't want to keep doing it for consistency's sake. I'm happy to step into the role if we're just being very agreeable.
You all are very agreeable, and yeah, I was just, yeah. Go ahead.
So, Chair, if I may add, this is great. Now we have 2 nominees, and we can opt into having speeches or debate or
Yeah.
discussion.
There
And-
is supposed to be a speech from each one.
Wonderful.
We've never done this.
Yes.
This is new.
Yes. So what I would like to ask from both contributions, and I strongly urge both candidates not to decline, to actually let's go through the process. One thing I think is really important is consistency, leadership, and frankly, is if you see yourself, whether the chair anytime in the year or in the future you think you would like to, and you would be willing and able to step into the chair position, that's really informs my thinking of who I would like to lean in. So lean in on that idea that would you be willing to step into the chair potentially, whether next year or sometime in the future. That really helps the institution to continue its leadership. So that's one element, and I want to open it up for both candidates to chime in what elements are important to consider them, or to consider the other person, and for my colleagues as well to chime in what elements will inform their vote.
Okay, so this is how the process goes.
At this time, I decline my nomination.
Can I read what we're supposed to do? Before you do, let me just say what we would do, because we never got to do this, Judah. But it's
and we're not doing it now.
I know, but so if multiple names are offered, each candidate would state why they would be it says good, but why you would want to be co-vice chair, and the person who nominated each candidate would state why they nominated that person. And so there is a process. I just want to make sure everybody knew what the process was, and yeah, so that's, yeah, if that makes sense. Okay.
Yes.
Is that your statement?
At this time, I decline nomination. I have confidence in Dr. Tomini's leadership as co-vice chair and have appreciated her hard work and excellent communication over the past years that I've worked with her. So I'm doing the opposite of a speech. I'm doing an endorsement.
Thank you, Judah. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the nomination, Semi, as well. I've learned a tremendous amount in serving in the co-vice chair role over the last year, 2 years now.
Yeah.
And being able to have a chance to have additional conversations at the leadership level, to understand some of the thinking that's happening at the district, and it's helped me understand better some of the really deep intentional work that happens that isn't always apparent community-wise, and I would love to have the opportunity to continue that work. I also would be open to sharing that space with others who'd like that opportunity, as we continue to look at how do we increase transparency between what's happening in the district, what's happening in the community, continue to grow those relationships and that trust, and would love to be a part of continuing that work.
Do you still decline?
I've declined 2 times.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I can make it around an even 3.
We do not need to vote if you withdrew your. We don't have to vote if somebody withdraws. Oh, wait. Wait, we did vote on mine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I just want to state for everybody and for the record that I read motions, first, second, all of those things all year. So this is way different. So thank you for your patience with my horrible job on this one part. Okay. Sammy,
Aye.
Judah,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Shauna,
Aye.
Bernie,
Aye.
and I vote aye. We don't have a motion. So the two co-vice chairs' duties are effective July 1st, 2026. We did vote on Chris's, right? Yes. Okay. I just wanted to confirm. Okay. Okay. Thank you all for that part. The next item on the agenda is board member comments. Does anybody have any board member comments? Judah.
As we're entering into the summer and thinking about the next school year, I'd really like to bring back forward to our attention and something to contemplate is what we've talked about previously, the development of an AI policy, and this board looking closely at our role in technology, screen time, and students, and to be, I feel very grateful that a lot of community members have sent us information and have been doing, we're all, I think what I can safely say is we're all nerds, doing research and looking for additional guidance on how to proceed.
Thanks, Judah. Other comments? Chris?
I didn't know when to bring this up, so I'm going to do it now. I too wanted to just give my gratitude to you, Lou, for such leadership through this time, and I'm glad that you are agreeing to do it again, because you would be a very hard act to follow, and you just, with the difficult year that we've had, I think that you just led us with so much grace and patience, and I really appreciated that. And I appreciated Therese and Shauna with your co-chairing, and again, doing that with such great leadership skills and communication for all of us. So I just wanted to thank you on that. And then finally, I also wanted to just say, with comments that were made tonight on building trust, I want to speak to the board about how we're going to do that, because we've all said that we need to build trust back with the community, and yet I'm not sure, the best way for us to do that, besides, having conversations with people is great, and I would love to do that. I don't know how we are supposed to do that as our role. We were invited to different coffee hours and things like that when the consolidation talk was starting, and I think everybody attended multiple sessions, and so wanting to do that, just not sure what to do, how we should do that. So I guess would like us to talk about that or figure out a way.
Thanks, Chris. Any other board member comments? Sammy?
Yeah, again, I want to apologize for not sitting straight the whole time, but I'll do my best for the rest of this evening. Thank you, Chris, for your comments, and really gratitude for the entire board and district staff and community member. This was a year that's probably in the books for our careers, whether they're public service or professionals, that we will learn from, we will continue to build on. And I have full, strong belief that the children are going to be in a better place next year because of the difficult conversations we've done, because we've done the best we could given the circumstances, the information, and resources that we have. And we always can do better, and moving forward, I think we can do that with the team that we build as a community and as a board. Thank you for the leadership. You have done really great work doing that, checking in with the community and with the staff and with us. Congratulations, Chris, on joining that team. And I look forward to that this coming year. We're not only going to build on what we have done, but also we're going to see what the children need and the community need. I continue to share Chris's sentiments, which is how can we maintain this trust with the community. I'll share this angle, which is sometimes you don't hear from people who support the work that you do as much as you hear from people who disagree with it. And maybe sometimes disagreement is one thing, and disagreement and trust is another thing, which is you could disagree and you provide your input, you provide the process that input should be taken, and then you trust that everybody did their parts. And I want the community to continue to lean on us to say, here's how can we do better. And I share that curiosity every day, and I believe the board and the district do that. So moving forward, I think one of the things I wanted to share, for example, the NAACP will have the Juneteenth gathering in the Corvallis Community Center on Saturday. Specific times are available on their websites, NAACP Benton Lynn County branch, or Benton Lynn branch. It's a great opportunity to connect with community members. And that's a really important element, which is how can we continue to reach out to community members who are underserved, mostly impacted by a decision. And it's something we need to continue to do, because our constituency is every child, every parent, and every community member, every constituent, whether they vote or not, whether they show up to our board meetings or not. And I think this year, reflecting on it, I really think we've done the best we can. Can we do better? Oh, absolutely. And we can do it when we really trust each other. And I can hear that a lot from community members. Overwhelmingly, they have supported us in the work that we do and held us accountable and making sure we share the information as transparent as possible. And I think going around the country and the state, it gives me perspective that, geez, we do really good stuff here. And some board members look at us and say, how did you do that? And how do you have the capacity to do that? And I'm grateful when I can share that, and I want to share it back here where we say we can always do better, and we've been doing much better every year than the year before. And that's a really good metric, which is, are we improving as an institution?
Thanks, Sammy. Other comments? You had a comment?
Is that the right time?
Yes, as everybody, can you go after the board?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead, Shauna, you had one?
I just wanted to wish everyone a wonderful summer and hope that staff are able to take a meaningful break. You deserve rest. You deserve to have fun, to take care of yourselves too, and also wishing students a very, very happy graduation for those who went through graduation or promotion or other celebrations this year. I know that summer can be a really fun and joyful and playful time for some. It's also a time that brings other hardships to families as well, without having the regularity and stability of school. So also want to express thanks to the district for some of the summer programs that are offered, as well as summer meal programs that are being offered to provide those ongoing connections with families. But just want to wish everyone a wonderful summer, and also express gratitude for all of you for volunteering so many hours over the year to give to the community. I feel very grateful to be part of this group.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Following Shauna's comment, I'm going to give you all homework. So when we return in August for our retreat, please have the book "The Future's Disabled" read, because we'll have conversation regarding that book and Judah's recommendation. If you have misplaced your copy, please let me know, and we will make sure you have one.
It's such a good book. You're gonna like it so much if you haven't read
You stole my reminder. It's fine. Yeah, I just was going to remind everybody about that, but thanks, Ryan. The other thing, to your point, Chris, I wanted to remind everybody that we still have a session with Kristen Miles as our follow-up, and we have our board retreat, and so I know we will be coming back to the conversation about community engagement and rebuilding and also maintaining trust, because I feel like there's community members that do have a lot of trust in the board, and there's folk that feel that trust was broken as well, and we need to remember both are important. And so as we do that work and stuff, and seeing what's working well in some aspects of the community and leaning on that as we rebuild trust where it needs to be responsive to the community members we represent that aren't feeling as heard. and with the changes next year, I hope everybody has a nice break too. And I did want to acknowledge that the district is going to look much different next year as well. Like everybody that has kids in the district, including myself, our schools are all going to look different, except for the high schools. Okay. But the junior highs and K6s and K8s are going to look different. And I just wanted to acknowledge that in that it is a time where some families and students and staff are feeling the loss, and at the same time as excitement for new beginnings. And I don't want to pretend like that's not happening too. And like Sammy was mentioning, with being able to do work across the state, the things that I mentioned earlier with the budget too, I've been thinking about that a lot. And actually people have been contacting me that from other areas and saying like, wow, it is really bad here, or did you see what's happening in this school district? And they're like, it's really sad what's happening at K-12. And so the more we can support the educational system in general and help strengthen it, and help remember to keep the student centered in all of that, instead of like if we're better or worse than somebody else, and really try to support what we have here as a community and continue to strengthen it. I think that we can only get better in everything too. So, and also thank you all for trusting me to sit in this spot again next year. And I appreciate the opportunity. And I was like, I really am like, okay, yeah, thanks. But I appreciate you all's confidence in me serving for one more year. And as folk know, I would not be able to serve after that because we have a 4-year limit, but that's fine. And with that, no further business. The meeting is adjourned at 8:32 p.m. Happy summer.